Alberto Ñecco Tello from Peru's private investment promotion agency ProInversión has been touring the world with a portfolio of 50 PPP projects. Let's talk through some of those projects in your portfolio. 40% is in transportation.
Yes, we have a very interesting portfolio in transportation, mostly because a large portion of the 160 billion estimated gap in infrastructure comes from that sector. We are expecting to award projects amounting for about 4.4 billion for the next few years until 2020. And that doesn't really take into consideration some of the largest projects that are in the formulation stage. That could even go up to 24 or 21 billion once we incorporate the metro lines and the proximity trains that we are working with the ministries to take to our portfolio. So that's a very interesting sector to work in, also a very challenging one, but one with the most opportunities to offer.
Now, some of your most important projects are in water and sanitation.
Correct. There is a large gap in terms of wastewater treatment plants in the country, and we're actively working with the Ministry of Housing and Sanitation to cover that gap. We have a portfolio of around 20 different drinkable water or wastewater works for about 6 billion soles, that's something around $1.8, $1.7 billion. And we will be taking this to the market in the coming 2 to 3 years.
Now, earlier this year, one of your mining projects was awarded to the Southern Peru Copper Corporation.
That's right. That's the Michigai project, and it's very interesting because it is one of the last large high-grade deposits of copper in the world actually that was available. We ran a very competitive process, and I must say also a process where we took very carefully our work with the communities. We devoted a lot of time and effort to communicate and work with the communities ahead of the project so that there was social acceptance to the whole thing. And that, I think, that's one of the reasons why it became such a successful process. There were two bidders, and Southern Peru Copper Corporation, which is part of Grupo Mexico, won the bid by offering $400 million in cash payments that will be paid in installments for the next few years, and a contractual royalty that at an estimated net present value amounts to something around $700 million in terms of economic value for the government, which will be shared with the communities. Actually, 50% of all of that will go through a social fund for works in the community and ensure acceptance and viability of the project.
Peru is also looking to expand and improve its broadband and energy networks.
Yes, we have been working very intensively in the last few years to extend our broadband coverage. And we have 6 more projects coming to the market by the end of this year. With the initial phase of this, we will have covered 21 out of our 24 departments in Peru with broadband. The remaining 3 are located in the Amazon jungle, which are much more difficult to reach. And we're working vigorously with the Ministry of Telecommunications and Transport to find technical solutions that we can take to the market 3 more projects next year to bring broadband to these locations. And in terms of energy, it's very important to point out that Peru right now has a surplus of electric power generation capacity that could cover easily the demand for the next 5 years. But that means that we need to strengthen and continually keep strengthening our transmission grid, because that increasing capacity from generation or generating plants needs to be covered by increased capacity to transmit that power. So in that sense, every year we take to the market around 5 to 6 different projects, whether it be transmission line, substations, transformers or regulators, and we are constantly working on improving and strengthening the grid.
And I understand you're working with different ministries in government to expand your portfolio into other areas of the economy.
That's right. A large portion of the infrastructure gap also comes from what we call social sectors, whether it be education, healthcare, or even prisons. So we're working with ministries in those sectors to identify and prioritize projects and provide technical assistance to help them bring these PPPs to the market. We're very focused now on project readiness. Due to recent changes in legislation, we are now obliged to have the projects better prepared, because contractual amendments are forbidden for the first 3 years after signing. So that means that if we don't pay much closer attention, or we don't have much more finalized or perfected structures before we actually award them, since the contracts cannot be changed, banks or the capital market will not finance them. So the pressure on structuring properly the deals has moved into the structuring as it should be. Social sectors need to be very well into the fabric of the country. So we are working with them in identifying these projects and also in better preparing them for the market, as we do for the whole portfolio.
Alberto, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're running our own roadshow with ProInversión. On the new economy, we're discussing the agency's sustainability. While at World Finance, you can learn more about the macro outlook in Peru and its regulations around foreign direct investment. Go to proinversión.gob.pe to find out even more. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe.